Coming up in this issue of Street Commodores Collector's Edition.
Who doesn't like a bit of drag racing? Personally, we love it, which is why we packed up and headed off down to Heathcote for the Holden Drag Nationals, held on the 20th of October. We arrived at the track on Saturday morning, where we were greeted by a sea of Commodores all keen to jump on the go pedal. The event was split up into brackets: 14 and over, Mean Street; 12.0 to 13.99, Tough Street; 10.0 to 11.99, Super Street; and 9.9 and under, Pro Street. On top of these brackets, racing was further divided into quickest VL and fastest female racer, with prizes also awarded to the best burnout and the fastest mile per hour in ET. The brackets were dial your own, which made for some very exciting racing to say the least. The races had to be tactical. It was no use going fast if you could only do it once. You had to be consistent, which was many people's undoing.
Basically just couldn't get it to sort of run too good. Idling was all fine, then just up top, just missing, and wasn't its day really.
The meet was really the domain of the early girls, with VBs to VLs being the most strongly represented by a long shot. VBs to VK sporting Big 8 seemed to be the flavour of the month, with a number of cars opting for the typical Cams Up 308 or Super Angry 355 stroker running well all day. Clint's Harlequin VK drag car came out to play for the first time in quite a while, and it's proved that it's still in superb form. The car runs a 750 horsepower NA 383 cube stroker that was enough to propel the VK into the low nines. Power certainly isn't a problem for the thing as it stands, evidenced by a shaky start to the day, which, after possibly the most extravagant staging burnout, saw the car end up at the better part of 45 degrees to the wall. The 8s fared particularly well in the warm heatcoat weather, not handicapped from heat soak like the VL turbos and other forced induction cars.
Wayne, now what have you brought along here, mate?
Two-door LJ Terrano.
What's it got in it?
A 202 Holden 6.
Any work done in the 6 or?
Yeah, it's got a lot of headwork and solid cam, good pistons and all that kind of stuff, rollers, a lot of basic stuff that everyone puts in their engines, yeah.
And a power figure?
It's actually made 231 at the treads on the dyno. Yeah, pretty happy with that, out of a natural aspirated car.
Definitely, mate. And what have we run down the strip today?
Best of 12.99. I'm trying to back it up with another pass, and that'll sort of keep all the mates happy.
In Street Commodores Live Volume 10, I tore down an LS1 to give you guys an idea of what makes them tick, and we also took a look at a range of aftermarket parts to beef them up for forced induction and big power levels. This time around, we've returned to Sam's Performance to take a look at a range of forced induction options for both the LS1 and other engines. All superchargers are belt driven off the crank, and their goal is the same, to increase manifold pressure. There's three main types, but their job is the same in each application, to create boost. The old school root style supercharger is quite primitive, but still very effective. Usually found poking up out of the bonnet, sandwiched between a pair of carburetors and the intake manifold. It's basically just a big pump, which pressurizes the fuel and air mixture and forces it into the engine. With the Roots blower, the speed and pressure of the intake mixture alters with pulley size and engine speed. Basically, the harder you spin them, the more boost they make. Centrifugal style superchargers are basically a belt-driven turbo compressor with an internal gear drive that brings them up to speed. They're commonly found under the bonnet, hanging off the side of the engine like an extra accessory on the belt drive, such as a power steering pump or alternator. Centrifugal blowers offer a constant flow and pressure of boost that increases and decreases with engine RPM. They're great for big dollops of pressure at high revs, and the right size unit can see 20 psi and above. But remember, this is at high revs, so your low RPM and mid-range won't be quite as good as some of the other options.
The other design of supercharger is the Eaton style blower. The difference with this type is that the level of boost doesn't vary greatly with engine speed. It is a positive displacement supercharger, and they can provide maximum boost at little more than idling revs, greatly increasing the low and mid-range performance of the engine. The increased torque levels from this type of blower means that the acceleration, drivability and throttle response improve massively. You might remember my test drive of the E-Series Walkinshaw on Live Volume 9, which was equipped with an Eaton M112 blower.
Turbochargers do the same job as a blower in that they increase manifold pressure, but they do it a little bit differently because they're driven by the exhaust gases and not a crank-driven belt. The turbocharger is bolted to the exhaust manifold, and the exhaust from the cylinders spins the turbine. The turbine is connected by a shaft to the compressor, which is located between the air filter and the intake manifold, and it is the compressor that pressurizes the air and forces it into the intake manifold. Now, whereas with the blower you control the boost level with the size of the pulley, when a turbocharger you control the boost with a wastegate. Now on this unit, the wastegate is an internal wastegate, which means it's bolted to the turbo. Whereas other units can be external. That's usually on larger turbocharger systems, where the wastegate sits separately from the turbocharger. Now the way a wastegate works is by having a spring inside which is preloaded to a certain pressure. This unit is set to 8 psi. Which means that when the compressor is forcing 8 pounds of boost into the engine, the wastegate will open and vent any excess boost back into the intake. Some external wastegate systems use a screamer pipe, which vents the excess gas straight to atmosphere, although for on-street use, that is illegal. Now, forced induction creates a lot of heat, which is a problem when it comes to performance because we all know engines like cold air, and that is why intercoolers were invented. Now, an intercooling system is available for both turbocharged and supercharged engines, depending on your application, of course. Now, this unit is a front-mounted air-to-air intercooler, which means that once the air has been pressurised by the compressor, it then travels through pipes into the intercooler, which is cooled by the air rushing through the front bumper, and then back out and into the intake manifold. Now, a good front-mounted air-to-air intercooler will drop intake temperatures massively and make a huge difference to performance. You will lose some boost pressure as it travels through, but a well-designed front-mounted intercooler will minimise that. All of these options allow an engine to burn more fuel and more air by packing extra of each into the cylinders. The average boost you'll see in a forced induction application is 6 to 8 psi, which when you consider that atmospheric pressure at sea level is 14.7 psi, or 1 bar, you're getting about 50% more air into the engine. So, you'd expect to get 50% more performance, but these systems are not perfectly efficient. So it's more likely that you'll get a 30 to 40% increase instead. This inefficiency comes because the power to spin the turbines is not free. With a supercharging system, engine power is robbed by the belt drive, which puts a strain on the crankshaft, drawing engine power to spin the supercharger. With turbochargers, having a turbine in the exhaust flow increases the restriction in the exhaust. This means that the engine has to push against an extra back pressure. So each cylinder that is firing at the same time will lose just a little bit of power as it's forcing against that extra pressure. Now, whilst this inefficiency robs some power, the additional manifold pressure from the blower or turbocharger more than makes up for it. So, which system is for you? Well, it's all a matter of personal taste. Do you like blower wine or blower fouls? It's a little bit like blondes and brunettes. You always like one more than the other.
Our horsepower clothing dyno days have been sweeping across the nation in 2007, with the Victorian leg being held at the Horsepower Factory in Dandenong. The turnout was fantastic, with the forums buzzing with anticipation in the lead-up. There was a massive range of cars running up on the dyno, from naturally aspirated 6s to turboed V6s and LS1s hitting the rollers. There were some big guns in attendance too, including Gary Pope's Blow 402 and Nathan Higgins in his race ute, No Gas.
Tell us a bit about the ute. Obviously we're featured in the magazine, but it's changed a bit since then.
Yeah, it's always been normally aspirated.
Yep.
But I've put an auto in it now, 2-speed power glide.
Yep.
You know, to try to stop. I was just having so much trouble braking things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I put an auto, try to get a bit more consistency.
Yep.
And try to have a bit of fun going racing.
What are you aiming for, sort of time-wise now? What are you looking to get down to?
Oh, look, if I could do an 8, it would be great, but
Yep.
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Nathan.
Easy, done.
Most appreciated.
Thanks.
Nathan got the car on the dyno later that day, making an incredible 447.8 rear-wheel kilowatts out of the naturally aspirated LS1. The highest horsepower figure on the day came from Blow 402. The turbonetic stumper-charged LS1 stroker made a stonking 1,256.8 horsepower at the wheels. That was only on a demonstration run though, which gave the punters a good chance of taking home a horsepower clothing t-shirt.
Okay, well I'm here with Gary Pope, the owner of Blow 402. Now, it's just been up on the dyno and made 1,256 horsepower at the rear wheels, so pretty happy with that, Gary?
Oh, pretty stoked. Finally getting the package to come together, making it at 28 PSI, which I think is actually the best bit of news.
28 PSI is pretty low for that kind of power output, isn't it?
That type of power, and we've got a fair bit more, about 40 PSI we want to go to. The package here is pretty basic. It's pretty simple. It's not over the top. It's not over engineered. It's just simple, good working engineering.
There were plenty of interesting Commodores to check out on the day, but two of the rarest were the HSV Statesmans owned by Vicky and Deke.
Vicky, tell me a bit about your machine here. Obviously it's pretty stock, but it's a very clean looking thing.
Yeah, it is actually quite clean. I haven't done anything to it. It's number 62 of 81.
Yep.
And yeah, I haven't got many plans for it. But
look after it and...
Yeah, just look after it, try and keep it original.
Do you drive it much?
Oh, every day.
It's a daily?
It's a daily.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, Deke, your machine's actually been featured in Street Commodores before. Now, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Pretty much as Jason left it. Haven't really changed much on it except for changed transmission, diff gears, painted the wheels, and that's roughly about it. It's 81.
81 of 81. Geez, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah.
Winner of the forced induction V8 class was Dane Manzi with his former feature car, Callie's. The car made 341.9 kilowatts at the wheels, thanks to the Whipple-blown LS1 under the bonnet, which also took out the top power figure for the day.
Now I'm here with Dane and his car Kaylee's, which was featured in the magazine, say 3 or 4 years ago now. Now Dane, we're just having a chat about the car. You've set it up for mainly circuit style work. What sort of setup has it got?
The setup on the car is specific for track use.
Yep.
So it's been all, we've got Melwood gearing, all the drive line, rear end has all been worked. We've got the Harrop 6 and 4 pots all round.
Yes.
Engine has been specifically run and we've actually down-tuned it in a way to make it far more usable and effective on the track. Whereas it used to pull sort of over the 400 kilowatt mark, now it's sort of around the 340, 350 mark.
Right.
I get involved in the sprint day competitions. I'm going out to Sandown, Phillip Island, Winton.
Okay.
They're the 3 primary tracks
Okay.
I'd have a good run at.
Yeah.
Sandown is predominantly the main one that I've got in.
Right.
Sort of chalking in around about the low 120, 122s, 121s around there now.
Excellent.
Forced Induction 6 was won by Blow 6, the Whipple-blown VS development ute for Yellow Terror.
Okay, I'm here with Matt, who's the product development manager for Yellow Terror, and we're standing in front of one of their new development vehicles, which is having the 2.3 litre Whipple kit tested on it. Now, Matt, tell us a little bit about the kit and the progress with the car.
It's basically the kit is an upgrade for the already Super 6. It entails a 2.3 Whipple and intercooled system, water to air, billet fuel rails, and as long as your bottom end can handle it, the rest of it's up to you.
At the end of the day, everyone went away happy, with the event considered a massive success. Big thanks go to Rob and Ian at the Horsepower Factory for running the event.
Okay, so for this edition's tech segment, we decided we'd do something a little bit different. In the past, you've seen us install stuff, you've seen us tune stuff, you've seen us build stuff. What you haven't seen us do is see us pull something apart. Now, what are we going to pull apart? Let's go inside Sam's Performance and find out. Well, here it is, the Chevrolet Generation 3 V8, or otherwise known as the LS1. Now, these things are amazingly powerful engines, so much potential in them. And today, we're going to tear it down, we're going to show you guys how it ticks and how the big guns build them for big performance. But if you've been living under a rock and you don't know what an LS1 is, check this out.
The LS1 V8 was introduced into the Commodore range in VT Series 2, after having first been seen in the '97 Chevy Corvette. It quickly revolutionised the aftermarket performance scene with its ease of tuning and excellent response to modification. It is an engine with an impressive specs list, including a roller cam and an all-aluminium block with 6-bolt mains. The potential of the LS1 has been demonstrated in such areas as horsepower heroes, with vehicles like Blow 402, and on the drag strip, where Nathan Higgins has run low 9s naturally aspirated. The LS2 and new LS3 are further developments of the LS1, and with continued aftermarket support, the engine is going to be around for a long time to come.
Okay, so now you know a little bit more about these engines. Let's rip this one apart and see what it looks like inside. And that, the inlet manifold. Well, that's the factory rocker cover, and ordinarily you'd see the coils bolted on the top of the rocker cover underneath the standard rocker gear. Next up, we'll remove the rockers. There's a bit of wear there, and that's just like a stock standard pressed steel lifter. The aftermarket version, and here we have a set of Yellow Terra ones, have a roller tip, which means you don't get that friction, that rubbing that you do with the factory rocker arm. Less friction means more power. Okay, I've taken off the top row of head bolts. I'll take off the bottom row and rip the head off. We've got all the bolts out of the head, now it's ready to rip it off. There you go, one factory LS1 head. Obviously with the engine being all alloy, it's alloy 2, it's quite light and actually flows pretty well out of the box, and with a bit of porting can flow a lot of air, plenty of power. But most engine builders these days are just choosing to go to an aftermarket set of heads such as these ones which Sam uses, which have been CNC ported, which as you can see in the chamber, there's a lot of material taken out, which means, again, more airflow. They've got larger valves and they can just get the fuel in and the air in and then the exhaust out much more efficiently, much quicker. Well, I had to enlist a little bit of help to get the harmonic balancer off, but it's off now. So what we're going to do, remove the timing cover and we'll get the cam out. Alright, this is the cam timing gear, and down underneath all this we got the crank, so we're going to pull the cam out first. The cam retainer plate. Okay, so the cam's ready to come out, but first we've got to pull the lifters out. And that there is a factory roller lifter.
Here we've got the stock cam out of the LS1 that we just pulled. Next to it, comp cam, advertised duration 280-282. Pretty big cam. But the LS1 responds really well to cam change, and it's obviously very important to get the right cam for the engine. Now next, we're going to pull the bottom end apart. The windage tray. We've exposed the crankshaft and the rods and pistons. Alright, well, one of the major features of the LS1 is its 6-bolt main caps. Now, I know what you're thinking, there's only 4 bolts there, but there's 4 bolts, yes, that go through the base of the cap, and then there's a bolt on either side that goes through the block for extra stiffness. Now what that means is that the bottom end of the LS1 is very, very stiff, which means it's good for big revs. Now be careful when you're undoing the rod bolts, the piston doesn't just fall out, you've got to support it. And that is a factory LS1 rod and piston. Alright, and now we're ready to pull the crank out. Right, well here we've got the bottom end componentry. There's the stock crank, here's the stock rod and piston. Now this stuff's not bad, and it actually will take 600 plus horsepower, get revved pretty hard, and has also been known to take 15 plus pounds of boost. And Sam tells me he's never seen a stock crank break. But if you're going for really big power, and also for a bit of extra reliability and also a few extra cubes thrown into the mix, why not upgrade to a 4-inch stroker crank? This is an Eagle unit made from forged steel, and also H-beam rod, diamond forged piston. It's good insurance, and these days with the US exchange rate, pretty cheap. Well that, guys, is the inner workings of an LS1. I know I had fun pulling it apart, and I hoped you learned a lot watching me do it. Now, in the next couple of editions, we're going to have a look at a few big power LS1s and how they do it, so stay tuned.
The VL bracket was hotly contested, with a few very nice cars turning out to race. Jet 3-litre had been in the build for a few weeks before the event and received a new bottom end and a quick retune.
It's a fresh engine. Just went in last week, sort of getting tuned up. New Link G3 computer, 3540 turbo, all standard inlet manifolds, 25 pound of boost, and 386 on the dyno.
The mile per hour didn't quite reflect this, though he did manage an 11.2 second pass, nonetheless impressive considering the manual box off the back of the motor. Luke Jones took the VL Turbo class in his maroon U2 Slow. The car was lightning quick all day, and in an effort to take the final, Luke threw caution to the wind and wound the boost up sky high. A few late model cars proved that bracket racing wasn't just the domain of the early girl. Tim Holmyard brought his super tough VX SS out. The VX runs a Nathan Higgins enhanced 427 cubic inch LS2 and has been clocking mid-9s for quite some time, which was impressive in itself. But Tim stepped it up and brought it out to the Dragnats with a sexy new intake manifold that's apparently netting him a bucket load more grunt.
I ran 9.1 at 160 mile an hour.
You're going to need big power in the top end to put that out. What kind of power is the thing putting out now?
Putting out 600 kilowatt at the wheels.
On how much gas?
300.
The wheels up launches and bulk grunt took its toll on the driveline though.
I broke an axle in a diff and an axle in the stub axle in the wheel, in the hub. So I broke both.
Of the same ilk was the VX Commodore of Martin Donnan's offsider Garrett. His VX runs a Gen TT enhanced LS series motor and hovered around the high 9s.
Basically it's just got a piston and rod engine built by Remax, off-the-shelf TTR turbo kit from LS1 Turbo, MV Automatics Auto. It's running methanol, got a big fuel system for it, 160 pound injectors, makes about 480 kilowatts of the wheels to do what it does.
No worries. And what's the quickest that we've seen it down the quarter today?
So far 10.15 at 144.
The potential of the twin-turbo LS1 really knows no limits at the moment, and with the owners searching for more horsepower, the cars are only going to get quicker. Without a doubt the most chronically overpowered, over-engineered and above all else loudest vehicle in attendance would have to have been the Kappa-sponsored drag Monaro driven by Big Sean Kirkham. The Vortec V7 Charge 408 Cube LSX delivers 1400 horsepower, and while power is in abundance, it's getting that power to the ground and more appropriately keeping the Monaro straight that's Sean's next major dilemma. Of the few runs Sean got in at the Dragnats, many resembled a lap of Eastern Creek with the Drift Australia crew. The Monaro is more than capable of 8s and walked away from the event with the best ET and best mile per hour. Properly set up, it'll be one to watch. With the last tyre fried and the last pass illuminated on the time boards, it was time for the trophies to recognise those that performed at the top of their field. Like us, no doubt the event has only whet your appetite, so be sure to catch the next Holden Drag Nationals in 2008.
Horsepower Clothing Dyno Day was this time hosted by one of Western Australia's leading tuning houses, Formula Tech. Brett and the crew drew a solid crowd, with owners keen to show off their stuff on the rollers. Throw in a barbecue and $1,500 worth of DeFilippo headers as a major prize, and you've got yourself a great dyno day. Alright guys, now for the first time we brought the Horsepower Clothing Dyno Days across to WA, where Brett and the Formula Tech crew have been kind enough to put us up. And the WA's brought out some awesome cars. Why don't we go have a look at some of them?
At the moment she's running 480 at the wheels. Unfortunately the injectors are letting it down a bit at the moment. We've gone the 40 pound at the moment, we're putting it up to the 60 pound, so we're hoping for 500 to possibly 600 if we can stretch it at the moment, yeah. So it's going to be a nice street cruiser, you know. Definitely would have loved to have got on the dyno day. It's not going to happen.
So it's a lookout motivation?
I definitely look out motivation, yeah.
Soon it was time to get the machines up on the rollers. A few of the vehicles were punching out some very respectable figures. We saw a few Ecotech conversions on the day, and there is no wonder why these are a popular retrofit. Nearly every model Commodore from the last 25 odd years, including the aforementioned VH-V6, VLs, VTs and VEs, were all too happy to push their pedals down to give us some more details on their power outputs. Formula Tech's Brett put the naturally aspirated V6 race car up to its task, making a very clean 236.5 horsepower. And following on was this ultra-tidy VK V8. Just take a look at it, pumping out 251.8 horsepower at the treads.
Alright man, so what are we looking at here? Obviously the L67 wasn't a VP factory option. How much power have we made today?
256.
Yeah, just dropped an Ecotech into my VN out of a 99 WK Stato. Put rockers on it, extractors, changed the boost pulley, and a custom tune, and that's about it really.
Now what kind of power are we making?
Made 259 today.
There was a great turnout of some higher powered utes in a variety of configurations. The combined ute figures sealed the deal on some of the extensive work that had been put into them. Formula Tech's own vehicles showed themselves well, the second being this tickled red VX HSV, followed by their newer VE HSV. Forced induction on the trusty LS1 was also a nice flavour on the day. The accolades on the day went to Trent in his black VZ GTO, who won a $1,500 set of DeFilippo extractors for his outstanding 452.1 at the wheels. Trailing by only 0.1 of a horsepower was Brian, who scored second place outright with a very healthy 452 horsepower from his VZ SS. Other awards went to first position forced V8, top horsepower 6-cylinder, forced induction and top naturally aspirated.
Congratulations to Trent taking out the top spot with his outstanding 452.1 horsepower, with the Hard Luck Award going to Brian, missing out on the top spot by just 0.1 of a horsepower. Thanks go to Brett and his team who hosted the event, and Horsepower Clothing. For more information on the next Horsepower Clothing Dyno Day, head to the Street Commodores forums at www.streetcommodores.com.
In late August, we headed down to Maruya's Surf Air Speedway, just 2 hours from Sydney, for the 2007 South Coast Nationals. For those of you that have never been, the weekend is made up of a street cruise, show and shine, driving events, and of course, burnouts. The show played host to a surprising amount of our ex-feature cars, including Carl Simmons' black VP Ute from the cover of issue 130, Sean Sanders' awesome VK from issue 97, Craig Campbell's blown VK found in issue 126, and a plethora of other jaw-dropping vehicles. Maruya's main street saw proceedings kick off with a cruise through the otherwise quiet town. With the route taking us to the speedway, this was a chance to get all the cool Commodores out cruising the streets before the real action begins. The show and shine competition was hotly contested, with cars like Chev 377 and Carl's Black Ute proudly on display. Carl's Ute took home 4 trophies, including Top Ute Pickup and Top 5 Street. Sean's VK scored him a place in the top 10, as well as Top Street Machine overall. Finally, it was your chance to get out there and show what your Commodore can do. The U-Turn Go to Woe event has a simple concept. Drive down to the Witch's Hat, go around it, and stop back on the white line. Some got the hang of it, others didn't, instead opting to use it as burnout practice. Even Stody got out there in Project Hauler and gave it hell. With the pressure on, a few Commodores set the benchmark, including Phil in his gas wagon, who finished second, and also this awesome candy blue VC Commodore placing in the top 10. To top it all off, Craig Campbell took his blown VK out for the 3rd weekend in a row and gave it all it had with the blue tyres on the back. Check this out. It was a bright and sunny Sunday in Maruya, but you could be forgiven for thinking otherwise as Commodores engulfed the place and themselves in freshly churned out tyre smoke, putting it all on the line for pride and trophies. South Coast Nationals may only be a small show, but we've proven that it's definitely packed full of action. And with all these impressive Commodores, how could anyone not love it? If you want more info so that you can make the journey next year, check out the Street Commodores events page for all your event updates.